Hi, I'm going to talk about some of the rebalancing that Playroom has announced on the champions of Raid Shadow Legends. I'm not gonna. This is gonna be part of a series. I'm gonna try to do 2 or 3 champions each one. I'm not gonna go through each champion's rebalance, but I'm gonna talk about some of the ones where I have questions. So this is Siffy. I'm gonna save Rotus for a separate video because he's worthy of a video almost to himself. So this is Siffy. I don't have her. I do have Rotus. She is arguably the best arena champion in the game. She's arguably the best champion in the game. She is the second fastest champion in the game, and she is the fastest champion in the game with a reliable turn meter boost. Um, it is not the highest turn meter boost, but along with the turn meter boost, it places block debuffs, increased defense, and increased speed. And it's for 2 turns with a 3-turn cooldown. This does 4 things. To put this in context, I want to look at 3 things here. Ignoring all her other abilities, she has 114 speed, which is really fast. She has very good defense and very good health. And she has this ability. So, in the same faction, there's this guy called Scartosis. Um, he's kind of a forgotten legendary. This is his buff. Increases 50% attack and 30% increase rate. Again, for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. So it does half amount of things, and you can take my word for this. Increased attack and increased crit rate is not nearly as good as increased defense, block debuffs, and increased speed, especially in arena. These are 3 of the best arena buffs that you can have. Um, and she gives you them plus a turn meter boost and 114 speed. And the reason why I want you to look at her defense and her health points, so someone else who's mentioned in this, and maybe we'll talk about in another video, is a guy called Norog. Norog is a defense-based champion. His defense is 1299 and 5,000 less, 4 to 5,000 less health. So she has 11 more defense. In other words, she has the defense of a Lego, a defense-based Lego. She has the health of a HP-based Lego. I mean, she's not that far from someone like. Well, actually, she's more than Tila Gormain, I think, right? If you go look at Tila Gormain, who's a health-based. Um, so she has the same health as a health-based. Oh no, she's not support. She's not health-based. She's support. I thought because her damage was done over health. So my bad on that one. Okay, so she has the same as Angar, who's another void health one. But I knew that number it was about right. So I was wrong on who, but she basically has the health of a health-based Lego and the defense of a defense-based Lego. I mean, they're on the low side for each one of those. I kind of cherry-picked them, but it's true. I mean, these stats are amazing. Plus the fastest speed again. Plus a passive that heals everyone for 15%, which they're nerfing to 10, and removes 2 buffs. And she has one of the best reses in the game. It's only one person, but they get a full team raider and 2 buffs. They have maybe the best buff uh, skill in the game. Um, and she has an A1 that has passive that doesn't require any accuracy to sleep someone. So I'm going to tell you the truth. If they were doing this for Arena, if they kept all of this the same and she only had this one ability and she didn't have any of these other abilities, she would still be using Arena. And she would still be a top draw in the arena because she is super fast, the fastest that has a turn meter buff, and she can therefore make sure you go first. This 10% number here that they're lowering, so the nerf they're doing is they're making the turn meter buff to 10%, and they're making this passive to 10%. That's it. The reason why this is not important is you build her to be your fastest, so it doesn't affect her speed. What it does is the next fastest person, whether it's a control or a second turn meter booster. On my main team, I use Lanicus as a second turn meter booster. I would just have to move their speed up, and you say, well, that's problematic. No, it isn't. So I can build any number, not any number. I can build 4 or 5 300 speed champions. I cannot build anyone with faster than my arbiter. So if you took my turn meter boost from my arbiter lower from 30 to 20, which they did on one of the abilities, it's a bug fix, so I don't care about that. All I have to do is move up my second turn meter booster champion or my second turn or my control champion just enough points so that when she casts this, that guy doesn't get cut in, and that's much easier to do. If they really, this 15% is actually pretty nice and everything, but really it's all about placing 3 debuffs or buffs and going faster than everyone else. If they wanted to keep all these amazing stats where she's an incredible tank, and what they could have done for Arena to nerf her is they could have taken the 15% turn meter off. She'd still be an amazing support champion if you were building a tank team, which tank teams are going to get a bit of a revival with the Rotus nerf. She'd still counter Tormund with this 15 because she puts his block debuffs up first. She counters Tormund, freezes. She still could sleep someone. She can still heal. She can still res, and she has a pretty good resist. I mean, this is one of the best resist warriors, and it's all. I mean, she's still broken as hell. It doesn't change anything, and I'm going to contrast this with another champion. So there's somebody who's been considered she's been considered one of the best, and they mildly nerfed her, maybe more for PvE than PvP or arena. It's not PvP because you don't play another person. There's a champion called Astralith who's long considered one of the worst champions in Legos in the game. And what they did was they took one of her abilities and they said it doesn't require accuracy anymore, and that would be all well and good if that mattered. See, the thing is, this ability of hers, what they're doing is it says doesn't require accuracy anymore, is an ability you never want to cast. So let me tell you a little bit about Astralith has one good thing about her, two good things about her, but she's still garbage. She has the third best arena aura in the game in terms of speed. So the fastest is Lord Chazar, which we'll talk about in a second, and the second fastest is a tie between Prince Kymor and Arbiter at 30%. So she's 2% behind them. In addition, she has a turn meter boost on her A1. And what this works is fills the turn meter of a random ally by 15%, fills the turn meter of all allies by a further 15% if this is critical. Okay? Because this is a random ally, you actually need to get the critical to make sure that you boost the proper order of your teammates. In fact, if anything, this could break up your order. If you boost your DPS person twice before you put your debuffer in, then you kind of broke it. I mean, so this whole random thing is terrible for this. But the real problem is three things really. But I got to stop doing that. Is her speed is 102. I just showed you that Siffy's 114. That's 12 more with Lore of Steel and speed sets, and the difference. And let's say they both had the 28% aura, so we'll do that. That works out to be about 15 points faster. So the problem with this is when you pick your speed gear, you're trading every other stat for it. But now you're putting a constraint on her. She has to choose speed with crit substats, or in crits. It can't even be crit set. It has to be speed set or divine speed set with crit substats, where other champions that are turn meter boosters aren't. So she's starting off slower. She's getting a little bit worse aura, at least for the end game, and she has to build crit. It's stupid. To put this in contrast, Apothecary is 106, Seeker is 103, High Katoon's 104. They're all better turn meter boosters than her because they don't have to actually build crit. They could just build pure speed. Never mind someone like Alanicus, who's a turn meter booster but doesn't have a speed aura. Well, neither does Apothecary or Seeker. Is 108, and it gives you a 30% speed boost. Arbiter's 110, Lysandra's 110, and they all give bigger ones than her. So what they could have done with her with this... Oh, I should just... The other problem is that bombs do their damage off of attack. So if you actually want this ability, and mind you, if you use this ability, you don't get the turn meter boost, which is the primary reason there. Then she has this other ability, which is niche. So if you were trying to build some weird unkillable comp with her, let her get really low and then swap health, you could, but I don't even want to talk about that. That ability should be there as a saving your life ability. If you want this to hit, you have to build attack, and then you have to also build crit. And so they got rid of the accuracy part. So an example, one of there's a demon spawn champion, which I said was talking about Lord Chazar, who's got a 32% speed aura. So that's already makes her better. But he's got the same ability, except that it puts it on everyone. It does do it for 2 turns, but if you crit, it's 1 turn. So he's putting 2 bombs on everyone. But the thing is his job is not to be a turn meter booster. His A1 has nothing to do with turn meter. His A2 has nothing to do with turn meter. So he can build a lot of attack and a lot of crit because he doesn't have to focus on speed. So and again, this is an AOE version. So in terms of boosting his so his value in arena is much higher than Astrolith's. Um, so what they should have done with her is the following. If they want to leave this at 28%, fine. Move this up to 109, 110, her speed, 111. So it's an alternative to Arbiter, Lord Shazar, Kymar leads, right? Um, she's a Lego, right? She, uh, uh, Skull Crown plus Seeker shouldn't be better than her, right? Because you get the Skull Crown real legit damage, and Seeker has a 30% turn meter boost and is faster, right? Like, and provides an AoE defense. I mean, it she's garbage. And how they can have such a disparity between Siffy and Astralith. I mean, all they had to do is make the speed 109, 110, change this to places two bomb debuffs cannot be resisted and grants an extra turn. This doesn't really matter for her extra turn, and then she can go do this again. And this is fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%. Get rid of the crit. Then if she was 109, 110, or 111, 112, you have a new speed person who does something unique. If you had an ally attack, person built really fast, so she'd go first, then the ally attack would go, and then she'd boost turn meters again. Like it would be like a unique, interesting champion. And instead, they have a random 15%, which is bad. And then you have to build crit, and she's still kind of slow, relatively speaking. It would be one thing if they weren't making any changes, but that's the change that they decided to make. And I want to show you something else. So there's this character called Raglan. Raglan is a really good champion who has a similar mechanic, right? Fills the turn meter of 3 random allies by 15%. That makes her not a very good. Um, well, actually, kind of does. In arena, in something like Clan Boss, it's a bit awkward because you don't know who's going to get them. But in arena, you can only have 3 teammates, so as his allies can only have their turn meter filled once by this. So she doesn't fill herself, or maybe she does. I don't know. I don't have her, but she goes and she can put these 15%. But the thing about her, and she happens to be faster, she has 2 really other good abilities. Removes all debuffs on allies and heals them. That's a really good ability for Rena. Madame Saris comes in, puts the decreased defense, decreased attack. She comes and says, no, I'll take that, thank you. Right? And it actually matches the same turnaround. But it also, someone puts stuns or freezes if you have her in immunity gear, right? Again, you can take this from Tormund. If she's in immunity gear, Tormund can freeze everyone, and then she can take it away from them. It's very powerful. And then she has a unique res. Revives an ally on a 2-turn cooldown after booked with 75% HP and full 10 meter. That's amazing. These are really good abilities. So that makes her good in a tanky setup for arena. And she happens to be really great in PvE. Where Astralith is meant to be an arena champion, right? Like Sif, like in the example before we talk about Siffy, and before you say she's void, that's fine. But it shouldn't be that despairing. Like it shouldn't be, I can only have only void Legos are good. Sorry, I keep going back to the wrong thing. And there are a ton of void, non-void. Draco is great. For if you want to talk about Rena, Foley, Trunda, Rodus, they're fantastic, and they're not void. Lysandra, amazing. That Shazar is not that bad, right? So all they had to do is make this 109, 110, 111. Have this as place if you want to have this stupid thing on it, or give her a different ability really, and grant an extra turn, and just make this 20% of all turn meters and doesn't require crit, and then she would have been a worthwhile champion. Then people would have used her. Instead, what they did was they made this buff that's so bad that it makes everyone who's playing this game question the thought process on this. So you mildly nerf the best arena booster in the game, not effectively. She's still the greatest. We're going to still be the greatest champion. Won't change anywhere on her. And then where that and then for this, the buff that you give is meaningless because you'll never use this ability. You don't want to use this ability because if you use this ability, you can't use her turn meter boost, which is what she's there for. All right, thank you for watching. These are first 2. I'm going to do a few more. Thanks.